Ken Armstrong co-founded Sussex Insurance in 1976. It has since become BC's largest ICBC agency network and has over 43 franchises throughout the province. Ken talks to ILStv about the success and initial failures of franchising the Sussex brand.
Thought about franchising when I realized that whatever location you had, you were limited to how much business you could get from it. And then it dawned on me one day, we were dealing with the Hong Kong Bank at the time, with the Bank of BC, and they approached me to see if we'd be interested in taking some of their surplus spaces in their branches. Of course, I jumped at that because, holy smokes, you know, the bank wants us to be in it. So we did that, and we opened approximately 8 offices in the Hong Kong Bank. It didn't prove to be that successful, although we did make good money on it. But eventually the bank took back the space and we relocated our offices outside the bank.
Though the bank experience didn't pan out, Ken knew the franchise model could work. He just needed the right location.
When we got in the business, all of the good malls were taken. All the agents had restricted covenants in the malls, so we couldn't get a real prime location. So one day I was introduced to the Real Canadian Superstores, and they had a small office inside their store on Grandview and Rupert. So we seized the opportunity, and I can remember my sons talking about it, and our main plan was to just cover the rent. If we could only cover the rent in there, we'd be fine. So for when we first started, we used to count the number of days we'd go between seeing any customers, and then it went to the number of days we saw 10 customers, and the number of days we did any business at all, to then we started counting the days we did $10,000 a day, and then we started counting the days where we did $1 million a month. So it grew rather rapidly once we saw the potential, and then because of who we are and how well we conduct our business, the Superstar saw fit to grant us more locations.
After expanding to well over 20 Real Canadian Superstore locations, Ken set his sights on another retail giant.
We had talked to Walmart before years ago, and we just started talking the conversation again. And we submitted many applications, and eventually I was granted an interview in Toronto with the head of the leasing department for Canada. And they liked what we were doing. They liked our community involvement. They liked the fact that we give back to the community whenever we can. I think they liked the fact that we were very professional and we had a really good reputation. Our brand was strong, and I think major department stores like to align themselves, or major food stores like to align themselves with 1 or 2 suppliers in an industry, and we are fortunate to be chosen to do their insurance.
To show how times have changed, Ken recalls the price of his first ICBC auto plan license.
The very first one came with we bought out a small agency at the time, Jim Medell Agencies, and I think the total price we paid was $11,000, and that included the business, the auto plan appointment, and my partner bought the building for $150,000. The last license we purchased was $950,000, although one of our franchisees bought one of his own for $960,000. And at $950,000, our model still works. Although it takes the repayment schedule out a little bit farther, at least our guys can eventually pay for that. And because they own it, they get all the appreciation in the license. Because 2 years ago, when we opened our first store in Walmart in Langford on Vancouver Island, the license was $625,000. So in the last 2 years, they've gone up by $325,000. So even the people who started out when their first stores, because it takes a while to make money, have recouped all of their money, and they're well ahead of the game.